Hey everybody, this is a real impromptu video. I've had this thought all day that I needed to shoot a video and just say some of the things that I'm about to say. It's not scripted, and pardon all of this. Just literally walked in the door from my walk today, and so I wanted to do this before my house gets crazy and people come back home and I don't have a quiet space to do it. So here we go. What has been on my mind lately? As a lot of you know, I've done a lot of work on myself. I have been growing a lot in the last several months to a year, specifically this year, just in the month of January. And First of all, I want to just say there's nothing special about me. I am not paying thousands of dollars to meet with people to grow. Although, if I had the money to do that, I would reach out and probably go to a counselor or find courses that I could purchase or things like that. One of my focuses this year is on my finances. So I'm not trying to spend more money at this point because I'm focusing on saving money and paying off some debt. So, but I say all of that to say you can do the exact same thing I'm doing. It simply takes time to sit down and think through what you need to do and what you want to do, plan it out, and do it every day. I made a ton of excuses before I went through my divorce, and I was literally forced to change. I had a million excuses. I don't have time. I have to take care of the kids. So and so wants this. I have to do this. And it's just a bunch of BS. If you want it, you can do it and you'll make it happen. You'll prioritize it. And so the first thing or I guess the main thing that I want to talk about today with you is self-reflection. I am the world's biggest overthinker in the world, and I will overthink something to its death. And to the death of people around me that are involved in it, because I will ask a bunch of questions and I will continue to harass them and talk about it because I'm trying to work it out in my head. That's one of my weaknesses. That's a flaw. That's beside the point. I'm getting better at that. But one thing that I've learned about myself is that I won't sit down and just spend 30 minutes thinking about my relationships or thinking about how I interact with people, what my go-to is as far as communication with people. And this comes up because we're working through a plan for the next 10 years with the CEO of our company. And so we're having to think big picture, 10 years out. What do we want our life to look like in finances, in relationships, in physical health? And so it's challenged me to stop and think through a lot of things that before I just put on the back burner and didn't really care about. But this has forced me to reflect a lot on myself and my thought processes in regards to myself and in regards to my relationships. And I'm not going to share all of the personal details here because there are going to be some people that watch this that don't know me, that don't need to know all the personal details or care. But what I will share is in probably the last 4 to 5 days, I have come to realize that I have always viewed relationships as something that I had to chase, and I had to work hard to attain. If you know anything about the Enneagram, I am a 2. I am a helper, and the thing that I want most in my life is I want people to love me. I want people to want to be around me. And so just taking time to do some self-reflection, I have learned that at a very early age, when I got rejected, I could think through, or I could observe. I'm an observant person anyway. I could observe that person. I could figure out what it is that motivates them, what drives them, what it is that they want or need. And I could provide that, essentially chasing them, and that would make them love me or want me. And I can honestly say that every relationship I've had in my life, I have done that way. I have earned it that way. It was not something where somebody approached me and chased me and told me that, they really admired me or respected me. It was always me doing the chasing. And in turn, I always ended up with people that weren't really invested, didn't really care. They weren't emotionally available. Um, they really had no interest in me. It was what I could provide for them. And so I decided that that's not what I want anymore. I want my life to be different. I want my relationships to be different. I want to have a good freaking relationship. And I can't do that if I follow the same patterns I've always followed. So I encourage you, you can still use all the excuses in the world that you want to not deal with your crap, or get help for it, or go to a counselor, or even just take time to think through it yourself and journal about it and figure out what it is that's causing you problems or issues or hindrances in life. But I want to challenge you to take 30 minutes a week. Start with that. Find a quiet place where you can just think. And a lot of people won't do this because it's scary to go to those depths of your mind and try to think through some of that stuff, but it's so worth it. And I know if you're like me, if you're a single mom, you don't have the funds to go to a counselor. I've been to a counselor before. I did not go when I had the funds, and now I don't have the funds, and I wish I would have back then. I know if I had addressed my crap earlier, my life would be a whole lot different. And if my previous spouse had been willing to go to counseling, maybe our lives would be a whole lot different. It's pride and fear that keep us from looking inward and figuring out what it is that is causing all of our issues. So you don't have to pay hundreds of dollars to go to a counselor. If you have the money, invest in that. It's totally worth it. 100% it's worth it. If you don't have the money for that, do not let that be an excuse for you to not take the time to think through that and work on correcting it. I would recommend journaling, even if you're not a writer. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't even have to form sentences. Whatever pops in your head, write it down. This is the way that I've kind of come to some of the realizations that I've had about myself. Just thinking through, like, I will just have a random thought and think through that and then move on to the next one, and just kind of evaluate that. But I wanted to share that with you because I was talking to a friend of mine today, and we were talking about needing to do the self-work, self-reflection, and how we avoid it, and it's not fun and it's painful and we don't want to do it. So we find all of the other distractions that we can: relationships, alcohol, drugs, pornography, just going out, getting out of your house so that you can be around other people so it's not quiet, so you don't have to think. There's a ton of things that we do to avoid that. But I would strongly encourage you to face those things, because through my process, I learned that all of that, the way that I view guys, the way that I pursued relationships, it was all based around me feeling like I was not enough. And so when I felt like someone was going to reject me, or they didn't really seem that interested, I would chase because I wanted to feel worthy. And thanks to a very good friend that is always encouraging and supportive, she reminded me that I am totally worthy, and that the right person, I won't have to chase the right person. I won't have to beg for attention. I won't have to try to win them, as I said when I was speaking to her. It'll happen organically when the right person is ready. It's not just them that has to be ready, it's you that has to be ready. As our pastor has quoted, and Andy Stanley says all the time, you have to become the person that the person you're looking for is looking for. And I'm on that journey now. So I'm sharing this with you so that you can get in touch with what's going on behind the scenes in your brain, and how you operate and how you think and how you approach people and relationships. And you can do whatever work it is that you need to do to have healthier relationships. So I hope this was helpful. And thank you for taking the time to watch it. I would be thrilled to hear any feedback. If this helped you, thumbs up or comment or whatever you want to do. I'm just sharing what I'm going through so that hopefully it helps somebody else as they go through their journey. Thanks, and I hope you guys have a great day.